Many of us have experienced that feeling of being totally lost in our lives. It's that aching moment where you feel like you have no idea what you're doing, how you got to your current situation, or maybe even what's next. It's wondering if you're even on the right track and what the future could possibly even look like. I've been there. In today's podcast, I'm going to walk you through 3 reasons why feeling lost in this place you're in right now is actually a good thing, and 6 questions you can ask yourself right now to help you navigate this uncomfortable and difficult stage that you're finding yourself in. Feeling lost, frankly, it sucks. The reality is that our tendency in these moments of feeling lost is to turn away from the discomfort and distract ourselves with things like over-socializing, shopping, doom scrolling, maybe you're cleaning, organizing, DIYing your house, fixing other people's problems, or even like binge watching TV. Do any of these sound familiar to you? Well, if this is you right now, I have some good news for you. If you bring the level of curiosity we're going to discuss in today's episode to this phase of your life right now, it is not the end of the story, and those distractions do not need to govern your life for much longer at all. By the end of this episode, you're going to have a completely refreshed way of looking at this phase of your life and have some practical questions that you can ask yourself right now to help you start taking steps forward. Before this episode starts, I've got a favor to ask of you. 85% of people who regularly watch this podcast are yet to subscribe to this channel, and 15% of those who have are yet to hit the bell notification. The bigger this platform gets, the more people we can impact and connect with, and the bigger the guests are going to get. So if I can ask you for one favor, if you've so far enjoyed this podcast, this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications on. I'm your host, Erika, and let's dive into today's episode. So let's get into the 3 reasons why feeling lost is actually a good thing. Number 1. Feeling lost is an indication that something was or is out of alignment. Think of it as a signal of your current path. Basically, feeling lost is telling you that where you're at right now does not align with some of your values or your interests. The problem a lot of us face, including myself, is that we live in this world where being certain about things is very valuable, and it's something we like to try and lean into a lot of the time. So when we're in these feelings where we feel like everything just feels out of our control and we just feel completely lost on our path, it's a really uncomfortable feeling. If you zoom out for 1 second, just imagine you're getting a little nudge from God, the universe, whatever you believe in. A little nudge saying, hey, you're actually just on the wrong path. You've been walking on this path now and it's either no longer serving you, or we need to U-turn and take another path, right? Something is just not aligning anymore. Something's off. So this is an opportunity for assessment, for curiosity. This feeling gives you a chance to really look at different aspects of your life, your career, your relationships, your health, your personal time, to really assess what is it that is a little bit out of whack. Where could the disconnect be coming from? I always think about 2020 lockdowns and how that was an experience where we had a lot of our distractions completely wiped from us. That was a really interesting experience for me personally. I know for a lot of other people too, because you were kind of left with this one question of, well, what's left? When you take away me commuting to work every day and my social events and me going into the gym, like what is left of my life? Like what am I interested in? And I just think that was a similar experience to kind of feeling lost. Like you have to really look at different areas of your life with a magnifying glass and work out like what is causing the disconnect, where is the problem, what am I no longer aligned with? And it's only in recognizing these misalignments or these things that could potentially not be working for you anymore that you then create change. And that's why feeling lost is actually a really opportune place to be in. As the great Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that all your dots are going to connect somehow in the future. You have to trust in something, whether it's your gut, destiny, God, the universe. Trust in something. That's the first reason feeling lost isn't the worst thing. It's actually an opportunity to work out what is no longer in alignment. The second one is that feeling lost will actually force you to grow, whether you like it or not. Feeling lost is uncomfortable because by virtue of it, you are out of your comfort zone, right? You're no longer in this comfort bubble where everything's working and everything's in alignment. You're outside of that. And the fact that you've tuned into this podcast is already a positive sign that you're looking for answers, right? You want to make some change. And that's because feeling in this discomfort forces you to make change where you wouldn't otherwise. And I promise you that working through this uncertainty and this discomfort will lead to a stronger and more resilient version of yourself. So it's actually a really positive thing that it is forcing you to grow in ways that you wouldn't have sought out otherwise. And the third reason why feeling lost is actually a really good thing is because being lost is one of the most fast-track ways to get to know yourself and truly find yourself. As we've kind of discussed already, when you feel lost, you're presented with this really unique opportunity to question your values and your identity, something you probably don't wake up doing every single day, right? Think of a hiker. Right? Every day they walk along the same path, they do the same tracks, the same trails, they know where they'll lead, they'll know what the view is. But one day, if they choose to take a different path, they have no idea where it's going to lead, but they know that they're going to have a new experience. They know that they're going to see something different. And although it's daunting and they've got no guidance, they know that it's going to lead to something beautiful that they've never seen before. One they wouldn't have even known was there before had they not taken this path. Well, feeling lost is forcing you to take that path, to explore something beautiful and unknown that you wouldn't have otherwise. You're literally on the verge of discovering a whole new path for yourself, and you have no idea where that's going to lead. And if you ask me, that is extremely exciting. It's very easy to judge yourself when you're feeling lost and think, what's wrong with me? Why don't I know what I want to do with my life? Why haven't I got everything figured out? But feeling lost is a really important and valuable experience because it's a great opportunity for you to rekindle with this curiosity to create more meaning and opportunity in your life. So you're probably thinking, okay, I can kind of see like the 3 reasons. I can understand why it's a good thing and it's a great place to be, but how do I move on from this? Like, what now? What next? I'm going to give you 10 questions that you can start asking yourself right now, whether you want to write them down and journal on them later, whether you want to pause this as we go along and start thinking about it yourself. But these are questions that are going to help you start making some change and moving forward. The first question is, what area of your life specifically is causing you to feel this disconnect? Now, you might want to throw your hands up in the air and say it's every single area, but I want you to really get granular here. Is it your current job? Is it a relationship? Really try to pinpoint it, and getting detailed and specific here will really help you. The reason I say pinpoint it down to one thing, and the reason you might be feeling like it's everything, is because it generally starts with one thing, and that discontent or that lack of satisfaction spills over into everything else, because it's kind of like chipping away at your soul, and that ends up impacting the energy you have to do other things, right? So you might think it feels like everything, but it has a source, right? So you need to work out what the source is. The second question, once you work that out, is to work out what was the catalyst for this. Did it happen over time? Was it a one-off event? Is it gradually getting worse? Try and work out if you can really not only identify like the source, like what area is it, but was there an event associated with that source? Question 3 is to ask yourself, what does this disconnect reflect? So we spoke about how being lost shows you that something is out of alignment, right? So when you think about this thing, this event, this situation that's causing this disconnect, what is it reflecting? What values is it showing you are no longer aligned for you? Or what is it about the situation that's no longer aligned with your values, right? Really try to understand what is the missing link here? What is not matching up? The fourth question is, are you holding on to something that's going to prevent you letting this go, right? Sometimes we keep certain things in our life longer than what we need to, but it's actually no longer serving us. So take maybe a goal that you've been working on, you wrote it down, you set your mind to it, and you said you were going to achieve it. And you have this feeling of like, I never want to quit or I never want to give up, but it's no longer serving you. It's no longer aligned for where you want to go. And it's just a moment of having to let it go so you can let something new in. Maybe that's the truest same for a job or a relationship, right? So really think about like, are you holding on to something here that's preventing you letting this misaligned thing go? And what is it about it? The fifth one is something for those that haven't done this before, and that is to work out what are your core values. There are many online quizzes you can take. You can just Google like an online value quiz, and working out what your core values are is really important, because then you can use that as kind of your navigator to cross-check the things that are happening. Or maybe you can look at the event or the source of what happened and say, where is the misalignment? What is this not marrying up with? Number 6 is then you can also start to reflect on more broadly your other life choices. You can kind of take these values and do a wider audit. You can say, okay, now that I'm clear on my values, I can see what the main thing is that has caused this discontentment, but maybe it's spilled over into other areas of my life too. You can actually just take those values and start to do a little audit across all the other areas of your life and think, okay, with the way I'm spending my time right now, with the things I'm doing, with the people I'm associating with, is this a match for my values? Again, a really beautiful opportunity that would not have come around had you not felt lost. You would never sit there and do a value audit of your life, but something that I guarantee will be an invaluable kind of inner compass for you moving forward. Whenever you have anything pop up now, relationships, events, you're going to come back to this as your guiding manifest, if you will, your Bible. The seventh question is to ask yourself, what are those activities that just make you lose track of time? You know, those ones where you could just spend hours doing, you're not clock watching, you just find yourself in flow, right? What are those? And can these actually feature in your schedule? Because leaning into this energy is a really beautiful way for us to connect more with who we are. If you have something that you just get lost in and feels natural to you, that is who you are. So trying to do more of that is a really beautiful thing to try and do during this time. And often it's creative things like painting or reading or writing or drawing or doing ceramics, I don't know, like anything that kind of is just creative and lets you express yourself in whatever mode that is a really nice thing to add on to your time during this moment of your life. Question 8 is identify who are the people in your life that can truly support and love you through this, and just reduce your circle to those people at this time. You need people around you that genuinely want the best for you and can help you through this period by giving you nothing but their love and support, right? They don't need to have the answers for you. They just need to be that field around you that is like an ever-present hug, right? Like they're your network that's always there. And that's important because if you spend time with people who are not nourishing your soul and supporting you in a genuine way, that love you genuinely, it can be distracting, right? And we can start falling into seeking external validation and wanting their opinion and getting disconnected from our own voice, right? Whereas the people that are in our inner circle, they know us. They're the ones that will check us and say, hey, that's not you. Or why did you want to do that? Or they'll be the ones that kind of help us amplify our values because they fit in with those too. That's generally what I think your inner circle should be, kind of like a physical manifestation of your inner values. Question 9. You might need some time to think about this, especially if you're feeling a bit lost. But maybe once you've gone through all these questions and you've had a bit of a think about these things, you might be able to answer them straight away. What do you want more of and less of in your life? Just make a list. Just think about it. What do you want to do more of and what do you want to do less of that you're currently doing? And just think about that, right? Think about that in terms of how you're spending your time. Because when we're feeling lost, it can often be a case that we're just spending our time in ways that are not aligned for us, that are just outside of what we actually want. So sitting down to ask yourself, what do I actually want and what do I don't want is so important to making some sense of what often feels just like confusion and uncertainty. And number 10, this is kind of a fun one, but it's just nice to ask yourself, what's the one thing you would do if you knew you couldn't fail? Would it be start a business? Would it be move overseas? What is the one thing you would do if you knew you couldn't fail? And then I think it's just interesting to reflect on this, especially in this moment of your life, and think about, why do I think I would fail if I did that? Start reverse engineering that. Think about that thing. Does it align with your values? You know, it might just be a nice visualization exercise to reconnect you to a bigger picture, a bigger dream, or it might spark something within you that's going to flag your next move or show you the path for something else. You know, just be a bit open with this question, have some fun with it, do some visualization, and all of these are really aimed at helping you reconnect with who you are. It is simplifying everything down. You don't need to know the next 5-year plan. You don't need to know what your next job is right now. You need to reconnect with who you are. That's what feeling lost gives you as an opportunity, gives it to you as a gift. It's a forced reconnection with yourself, a really beautiful practice we don't do enough of. It's admittedly, even for myself, not something I just wake up on a Saturday and do. So you have an opportunity right now to reconnect with yourself. And if this episode has really made you think about, okay, I really need to think more critically about how I'm spending my time, who I'm spending my time with, I've done an episode which basically will take you through how to work out your priorities and then how to schedule your time around it. It's basically the balance theory explained, right? It's my theory or approach to how to find balance in your life. And that comes from knowing yourself and your priorities first. And I actually created this in a period where I myself felt really lost too. And it really helped me simplify things down to the most important things in my life today and right now. And this, paired with kind of the questions and the reasons I've given you in today's episode, will give you a really revitalized way at looking at your time, but in a simplified way. because when you're already feeling frustrated and uncertain and really unsure of what's next, you don't want to confuse yourself with, okay, I've got a 10-step plan now. No, you want to dilute it to what's the most important thing right now and reconnect with yourself. So I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes. I hope you guys have taken a lot out of today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with someone that's come to mind that maybe is also going through a little bit of a tricky period with feeling lost and unsure about who they are and where they want to be. And I'll see you guys in the next video.